Imagine surviving the unimaginable and turning that pain into a beacon of hope. Today, I want to share an incredibly inspiring story, one that speaks to the resilience of the human spirit. This episode will focus on Alison Botha, a true survivor whose story has touched countless lives around the world. This isn't about the tragic or sensational details of what happened to her, but rather about the strength that she has shown through it all. Alison's story is about survival, resilience, and the strength that we all have within us to overcome life's most unimaginable challenges. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode on my channel. My name is Celeste and I am your host and certified life coach. Today we are looking at the story of Alison Botha. Despite all the challenges she has overcome in her life, Alison Botha is once again fighting for her life and needs our help. Approximately 1 month ago at the time of filming this episode, Alison was faced with another challenge in her life. She had a brain aneurysm. She has received surgery for the condition, but the medical expenses are building up and she is not on medical aid. She is not able to work and it looks as though it's going to be a long road to recovery. If you wish to make a financial contribution towards her care and recovery, I will put the details of the fund that has been opened for her in a pinned comment and in the description of this video. Alison's story of survival and resilience began in 1994 when she was just 27 years old. She was living in Quebec, previously Port Elizabeth in South Africa. Alison lived a content life, working and spending time with her friends, but that life changed one night when she faced one of the most horrific attacks you could ever imagine. I think what stands out about Alison isn't what happened to her, it's how she survived and then went on to reclaim her life with courage and resilience. She chose not to let this tragedy define her, and I think that is something that we can all learn from. On the 18th of December 1994, Alison was on her way home after a night out with friends. As she parked her vehicle outside of her home, a man with a knife forced his way into her vehicle. This man then drove her vehicle with her still inside to collect his accomplice, after which they headed to a secluded spot with sinister intentions. In this secluded spot, Alison was subjected to an absolutely horrific attack, and I think the only way that you could even begin to understand what she went through that night is to read her book, I Have Life. As I said, I do not want to sensationalize what happened to her that night, and I think the only way to even begin to wrap your head around or understand what she went through that night is through her own words from her own lived experience. So in this regard, I highly recommend reading her book if you haven't already. Alison endured unimaginable violence that night, and I struggle to comprehend how human beings can be capable of such violence towards one another. But Alison found the strength and she survived that night. Alison found an inner strength that night that honestly just defies belief. Imagine the willpower that it took to drag herself from the secluded spot to the nearest road, hoping that someone would pass by and be able to help her. And luckily, she was spotted by a young veterinary student who provided first aid and quickly called for help. And once she made it to the hospital, and this is truly incredible, but not only did Alison survive, but she remembered enough details to provide the police with enough information in order to identify and arrest her attackers. Through her strength and courage, she was able to see that the men that did this to her were brought to justice, and they were sentenced to life in prison. In the years following this brutal attack, Alison found herself on a path that I think few people could have ever imagined for her. She became a voice of strength and resilience, choosing to speak publicly about her experience. Her book, I Have Life, Alison's Journey, unsurprisingly to me, became a bestseller and sold tens of thousands of copies around the world. It truly is a story of resilience, hope, and survival. Years later, in 2016, her journey was documented in a powerful film simply titled Alison. Her story is truly about so much more than just survival. It's about choosing life and rising above the unimaginable. Something truly remarkable from this entire journey is how Alison was able to take her experience and turn it into a message of resilience. She decided not to let this trauma define her, but to use it to inspire other people. Alison began sharing her story around the world and helping other survivors to find hope and healing. Alison is now facing another huge challenge in her life. On the 25th of September 2024, Alison had a brain aneurysm and has since undergone brain surgery. Media reports appear to indicate that around the 20th of October 2024, Alison was awake and had spoken her first words following the brain surgery for her brain aneurysm. I think one of the biggest takeaways is how Alison's life didn't stop at her recovery after her attack. She went on to thrive. Alison is a mom now, and that is a truly remarkable part of her story, considering her attackers tried to take that opportunity away from her with the wounds they inflicted on her during her attack. Reflecting on her own life, Alison has shared that life can sometimes make us feel like the victim, but we don't have to take responsibility for what others do. It's about how we respond, and that's exactly what she's done. Responded with strength and purpose, and this is something that I am so big on promoting here on this channel, and I think perhaps that's why the story resonates so deeply with me. There are times where we can't control the actions of other people, but we do have the opportunity to choose how we respond and move forward. Throughout her life, Alison has shown an incredible ability to overcome challenges. She has lived through experiences and overcome challenges that are unimaginable to many of us, and yet she's done so with a strength and resilience that has inspired so many people around the world. I believe that what makes her journey so powerful is that she didn't hide from her past. She made the decision to stand up and share her journey and speak out, even though the topic carried stigma. For Alison, silence was never an option, and for that she has become a beacon of light and hope to so many people. The two men responsible for this brutal attack on Alison were sentenced to life in prison. But in July 2023, these men were released from prison on parole. All the years that these men were in prison, Alison was opposed to them ever being released, and I cannot begin to imagine the fear and anxiety she must be living with since their release from prison. And Alison, as she has with everything in her life, handled the situation with grace, that knowing that even though she had opposed these men being released from jail, she was not going to let this be a setback in her life. The anxiety and stress she has experienced with these men being paroled could lead to health complications such as what she's experiencing now. And I have no evidence of this, but it would not surprise me to think that that amount of stress could lead to health complications, especially someone who has such a complicated medical history from the attack she suffered in 1994. And I have absolutely no doubt that as Alison faces this new challenge in her life, she will continue to inspire others along the way. Reports indicate that she has a long road of recovery ahead of her and that she will require extensive speech and physical therapy as part of her recovery. A trust fund has been established by Alison's legal team in order to help cover the considerable medical expenses she is facing, as well as the expenses and support she will require during her recovery. For anyone who has been inspired by Alison's journey and is willing and able to help, I will put the details of that trust fund in the description down below, as well as in a pinned comment on this video. Thank you for joining me for today's video. Stories like Alison's should not be shared for sensationalism, but rather as an example of what the human spirit is capable of and how resilience and strength can help us overcome even the most unimaginable challenges in our lives. Alison is far more than just a survivor, but a true beacon of resilience and hope for myself and I know many others. Please don't forget to make a donation to Alison's Trust Fund if you're able to. If you aren't, please share the information and this video with anyone who perhaps doesn't know Alison's story and may be able to help. Until next week, thank you so much to everyone who has taken the time to listen to Alison's story and to all of you who will donate and share the donation information with others.